Alright, welcome to another video on ChatGPT prompt engineering for developers. So here I'm just going to jump straight forward to the hey what what that's right what okay hmm it's like the season has expired. Yeah, season expired. So okay. Okay, cool. Here we are. So I'm looking now at the inferring. Okay, so to make a quick recap of the summarizing section, well, we talk about is this. Okay, so the summarizing, because there's so much text out there on the internet, and we don't have too much time to dedicate the things that demand. Jesus, because there's so much text out there on the internet and we don't have too much time to dedicate to the things that we want. So summarizing is an interesting chat features where now you can do that on the ChatGPT web interface by mm, using keywords like summarizing and extracting. And I also look at how using Jupyter Notebook can we look at the setup, all right? So importing is libraries like the OS as well as the API, open API, and provide is the secret key, and then some helper functions to make our to easily interact with the prompt as well as get a clear output. So the use case, particularly as a developer, is if an application that deals with a lot of text, okay, or many pieces of text, so how you can use prompt like this to summarize them to help other people to quickly get a sense of what is in there, and optionally add a link or a button to dig in more if they wish. So this is the particular use case, okay, for developers. So if you have an application that deals with a lot of text, okay, uh, let's say most of the time accountant, okay, or accountant or lawyers that they deal with a lot of amount of text. Uh, so you can use prompts to summarize them so you can help them to quickly get a sense of what is in the text, uh, and add a link or a button to optionally dig in if they to optionally dig in more if they wish. Okay, so that's cool, that's right, that's great. So this is one use case from summarizing. Okay, you have an application, for example, that deal with a huge amount of text or different piece of text, for example lawyers, and you want to, or you can use that by using prompts that help them to summarize this vast content, to help them get a quick sense of what's going on in that text, and optionally you can add a link or a button to dig in if they wish. Okay, so now that I'm looking at the trend inferring, which is the next use case, here we are.
This next video is on inferring. I like to think of these tasks where the model takes a text as input and performs some kind of analysis. So this could be extracting labels, extracting names, kind of understanding the sentiment of a text, that kind of thing.
So if you want to extract the sentiment, positive or negative, of a piece of text, In the traditional machine learning workflow, you'd have to collect a label data set, train a model, figure out how to deploy the model somewhere in the cloud and make inferences. And that can work pretty well, but it was just a lot of work to go through that process. And also for every task, such as sentiment versus extracting names versus something else, you have to train and deploy a separate model. One of the really nice things about a large language model is that for many tasks like these, you can just write a prompt and have it start generating results pretty much right away. And that gives tremendous speed in terms of application development. And you can also just use one model, one API to do generating results pretty much right away. And that one of the really nice things about a large language model is that for many tasks like these, you can just write a prompt and have it start generating results pretty much right away. And that gives tremendous speed in terms of application development. And you can also just use one model, one API to do many different tasks rather than needing to figure out how to train and deploy a lot of different models. And so with that, let's jump into the code to see how you can take advantage of this. So here's a usual starter code. I'll just run that. And the motivating example I'm going to use is a review for a lamp. So needed a nice lamp for my bedroom, and this one had additional storage, and so on.
Man, why can you have even a microphone to record that audio? Because I saw it's like you're recording your audio in a bathroom. Anyway,
Rather than needing to figure out how to
do you have enough research to buy that, man? It's like, why? Anyway,
train and deploy a lot of different models. And so with that, let's jump into the code to see how you can take advantage of this. So here's a usual starter code. I'll just run that. And the motivating example I'm going to use is a review for a lamp. So needed a nice lamp for my bedroom, and this one had additional storage, and so on. Um, so
so let me read about this review, a lamp review. Need a nice lamp for my bedroom, and this is one, and this one had additional store and not too high in a price of a price point. Got it fast. The string of our lamp broke during the transit, and the company happily sent over a new one. Came with a few days as well. It was easy to put together. I had a missing part, so I contacted their support, and they were very quickly got me the missing piece. Lumina sends to me. Lumina seems to me. Lumina. Lumina seems to me to be great company that cares about their customer and products. Okay, this is a lamp review
let
and
me write a
apply inference.
prompt to classify the sentiment of this. And if I want the system to tell me, what is the sentiment, I can just write what is the sentiment of the following product review. With the usual delimiter and the review text and so on, and let's run that. And this says the sentiment of the product review is positive, which is actually seems pretty right. This lamp isn't perfect, but this customer seems pretty happy. Seems to be a great company that cares about the customers and products. I think positive sentiment seems like the right answer. Now this prints out the entire sentence. The sentiment of the product review is positive. If you wanted to give a more concise response to make it easier for post-processing, I can take this prompt and add another instruction to give you answers a single word, either positive or negative. So it just prints out positive like this, which makes it easier for a piece of text to take this output and process it and do something with it. Let's look at another prompt. Again, still using the lamp review. Here,
Okay.
I have it.
Okay. Another prompt. We identify a list of emotions that the writer of the following review is expressing. Include no more than 5 items in the list. Okay, include no more than the 5 items on the list. Format your answer as a list as lowercase separated by commas.
Identify a list of emotions that the writer of the following review is expressing. Include no more than 5 items in this list. So large language models are pretty good at extracting specific things out of a piece of text. In this case, we're expressing the emotions. And this could be useful for understanding how your customers think about a particular product. For a lot of customer support organizations, it's important to understand if a particular user is extremely upset. So you might have a different classification problem like this. Is the writer of the following review expressing anger? Because if someone is really angry, it might merit paying extra attention to have a customer review, to have customer support or customer success reach out to figure out what's going on and make things right for the customer. In this case, the customer is not angry. And notice that with supervised learning, if I had wanted to build all of these classifiers, there's no way, I would have been able to do this with supervised learning in the just a few minutes that you saw me do so in this video. I'd encourage you to pause this video just a way learning if I had wanted to. And notice that with supervised learning, if I had wanted to build all of these classifiers, there's no way, I would have been able to do this with supervised learning in the just a few minutes that you saw me do so in this video. I think notice that the customer, in this case, the customer is not angry. And notice that with supervised learning, if I had wanted to build all of these classifiers, there's no way, I would have been able to do this with supervised learning in the just a few minutes that you saw me do so in this video. I'd encourage you to pause this video and try changing some of these prompts. Maybe ask if the customer is expressing delight, or ask if there are any missing parts, and see if you can get a prompt to make different inferences about this lamp review. Let me show some more things that you can do with this system, specifically extracting richer information from a customer review. So information extraction is the part of NLP, of natural language processing, that relates to taking a piece of text and extracting certain things that you want to know from the text. So in this prompt, I'm asking it, identify the following items: the item purchase and the name of the company that made the item. Again, if you are trying to summarize many reviews from an online shopping e-commerce website, it might be useful for your large collection of reviews to figure out what were the items, who made the item, figure out positive and negative sentiment, to track trends about positive or negative sentiment for specific items or for specific manufacturers. And in this example, I'm going to ask it to format your response as a JSON object with item and brand as the keys. And so if I do that, it says the item is a lamp, the brand is Luminar, and you can easily load this into the Python dictionary to then do additional processing on this output. In the examples we've gone through, you saw how to write a prompt to recognize the sentiment, figure out if someone is angry, and then also extract the item and the brand. One way to extract all of this information would be to use 3 or 4 prompts and call get completion, 3 times or 4 times, extract these different fields one at a time. But it turns out you can actually write a single prompt to extract all of this information at the same time. So I'm going to say identify the following items, extract sentiment, is reviewer expressing anger, item purchase, company that made it. And then here, I'm also going to tell it to format the anger value as a Boolean value. And let me run that. And this outputs a JSON where sentiment is positive, anger, and then no quotes around false, because I asked it to just output it as a Boolean value. I extracted the item as lamp with additional storage instead of lamp. Seems okay. But this way, you can extract multiple fields out of a piece of text with just a single prompt. And as usual, please feel free to pause the video and play with different variations on this yourself. Or maybe even try typing in a totally different review to see if you can still extract these things accurately. Now, one of the cool applications I've seen of large language models is inferring topics. Given a long piece of text, what is this piece of text about? What are the topics? Here's a fictitious newspaper article about how government workers feel about the agency they work for. So the recent survey conducted by government, and so on, results revealed that NASA was a popular department with high satisfaction rating. I am a fan of NASA, love the work they do, but this is a fictitious article. And so given an article like this, love
Okay.
the popular department with high satisfaction rating. I am a fan of NASA, love the work they do, but this is a fictitious article. And so given an article like this, we can ask it with this prompt, determine 5 topics that are being discussed in the following text.
Okay, topic
Let's make each
extraction.
item 1 or 2 words long, format your response in a comma
Make
separated
each item
ways.
1 or 2 word
And
long.
so if we run that, we get out this article is about a government survey, it's about job satisfaction, it's about NASA, and so on. So overall, I think pretty nice extraction of a list of topics. And of course, you can also, split it so you get a Python list with the 5 topics that this article was about. And if you have a collection of articles and extract topics, you can then also use a large language model to help you index into different topics. So let me use a slightly different topic list. Let's say that we're a news website or something, and these are the topics we track: NASA, local government, engineering, employee satisfaction, federal government. And let's say you want to figure out, given a news article, which of these topics are covered in that news article. So here's a prompt that I can use. I'm going to say, determine
And
whether
you're
each
going to
item
provide
on the list of
is,
topics
that's right,
is a topic in the text
is all of
below.
these topics.
Give your answer as a list of 0 or 1 for each topic. And so, great. So this is the same story text.
It's actually counter
So
its
this
number
is a
of
story.
topics.
It is about NASA. It's
Counter
not about
topic.
local
Topic
government. It's not about
extraction.
engineering. It is about employee satisfaction. And it is
Topic
about
counter.
federal government. So with this, in machine learning, this is sometimes called a zero-shot learning algorithm because we didn't give it any training data that was labeled, so that's 0 shot. And with just a prompt, it was able to determine which of these topics are covered in that news article. And so if you want to generate a news alert, say, so that process news, and I really like a lot of the work that NASA does. So if you want to build a system that can take this, put this information into a dictionary, and whenever NASA news pops up, print alert, new NASA story, they can use this to very quickly take any article, figure out what topics it is about, and if the topic includes NASA, have it print out alert, new NASA story. Oh, just one thing. I use this topic dictionary down here. This prompt that I use up here isn't very robust. If I wanted a production system, I would probably have it output the answer as in JSON format rather than as a list, because the output of the large language model can be a little bit inconsistent. So this is actually a pretty brittle piece of code. But if you want, when you're done watching this video, feel free to see if you can figure out how to modify this prompt to have it output JSON instead of a list like this, and then have a more robust way to tell if a particular article is a story about NASA. So that's it for inferring. And in just a few minutes, you can build multiple systems for making inferences about text that previously this would have taken days or even weeks for a skilled machine learning developer. And so I find this very exciting that both for skilled machine learning developers as well as for people that are newer to machine learning, you can now use prompting to very quickly build and start making inferences on pretty complicated natural language processing tasks like these. In the next video, we'll continue to talk about exciting things you could do with large language models, and we'll go on to transforming. How can you take one piece of text and transform it into a different piece of text, such as translate it to a different language? Let's go on to the next video.
All right. Okay. There was a lot of jargon in there. So I'm going now to jump directly to Jupyter Notebook and go over step by step here. So inferring. In this lesson, you will infer sentiment and topics from product review and news articles. So here we are is quickly set up the setting up the setup. Okay, and then you got a product review text, right, which is the lamp. So needed a nice lamp for my bedroom, and this one had additional store and not too high of a price point. Got it fast. The string of our lamp broke during the transit of the company. Happily sent over a new one. Came with a few days as well. It was easy to put together. I had a missing part, so I contacted their support, and they were quick, and they very quickly got me the missing piece. Okay, got me the missing piece. Lumina seems to me to be great company that cares about their customers and products. Okay, so now sentiment classification like this, like positive or negative, like this. So what is a sentiment? I would like to write this. So what is the sentiment of the following, which is this is another important skill here. Know how to read and how to write. You know, what is the sentiment of the following product review, which is delimited with triple backticks. So you say review text delimited with triple backticks. Actually, they're not using is backtick. Actually, they're using is triple single quotes. I think it is funny. So the sentiment of the product review is positive. Okay, but what if I want to label that into different categories? Okay, so what is the sentiment of the following product review, which is delimited with triple backticks? Give your answer. Now, this is a condition. Following is the tactics as check whether condition is satisfied to do the task. All right. So give your answer as a single word, either positive or negative, like this. So it gives you in just one word, positive. And then is now identify type of emotions, like this. So it is funny because identify a list of emotions that the writer of the following review is expressing, including no more than 5 items in the list. Format your answer as a list of lowercase separate comma. So if I tell you no length, if I don't give you any length, right? Even though he give me is just 5 of it, including more than 5 items in the list. Okay. Identify type of emotion, but for example, if I say identify the list of emotion, so for example, if I say which or give me, provide me a list of emotions based on your training. Okay, give the model time to think, and there you got it. Actually, as an AI language model, I don't have emotions. However, here's a list of emotions that humans experience: happiness, sadness, anger, fear, surprise, disgust, love, envy, jealous, guilt, shame, excitement, anxiety, frustration, boredom, 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 loneliness, empathy, compassion, gratitude, and pride. Interesting. Okay, so provide me a full list of emotions based on your training. So now give the model time to think. Okay, so he worked out the solution, and then you get 30 for it. As an AI, I don't have emotions. However, here's a list of emotions that human can experience: joy, sadness, anger, fear, disgust, surprise, love, hate, envy, jealous, guilt, shame, pride, excitement, anxiety, nervousness, frustration, boredom, loneliness, contentment, gratitude, hope, despair, regret, empathy, compassion, sympathy, awe. Interesting. Awe, confusion, and curiosity. Interesting. Okay. Now, because we have internally a list of um, emotions that depend on which source you use for this, or even the internet, it provides you with this. So identify a list of emotions that the writer of the following review is expressing. Include no more than 5 items in the list. Format your answer as a list of lowercase separated by commas. So happy, satisfied, grateful, impressed, and content. And then identify anger. Is the writer of the following review expressing anger? Give your answer as either yes or no. And extract product and company name from customer review. Again, this is now first is for sentiment classification, okay, and then is for topic extraction. So extract product and company name from customer reviews. So here you indicate, hey, identify the following items from the review text: item purchased by reviewer and company that made the item. The review is delimited with triple backticks. Format your response as a JSON object with items and brand as the key. If the information isn't present, use unknown as the value. Make your response as short as possible. Exactly, item and brand. And also you can not only you can do this multiple tasks at once. Again, remember part of the guidelines, especially about the second principle, let them give the model time to think. If you're getting an incorrect answer, or if the model is reaching to an incorrect conclusions based on a error reasoning, so much like a human, when you ask to complete a complex, or when you ask to ask, when you tell a human, or when you tell a person to ask to perform a complex math question without giving time to work out the solution first, they're likely to get that wrong. So here, in this case, even though that they pass several tasks at once, all right, it's important to recognize that, right? It's important to say, okay, even though provide a series of steps to complete the task, which is in this case, okay, identify the following items from the review text. Provide this several steps to complete the task, which is identify the sentiments. Is the review expressing anger, true or false? Item purchased by reviewer and the company that makes the item. The review is delimited with triple backticks. Okay. The review is limited with triple backticks. Format your response as a JSON object with sentiment. Okay, format your response as a JSON object with sentiment, anger, item, and brand as the key. If the information isn't present, use unknown as the value. Make your response as short as possible and format the anger value as a boolean. So when you ask here, this is something like this. You get the sentiment as positive, anger false, item land with additional storage. It's funny how it brings that items land with additional storage. Item purchased by reviewer and brand. I don't think that when
storage instead of lamp. Seems okay. But this way you can extract multiple
and then now you can extract multiple
fields out of a piece of text.
so you can extract multiple fields of text with just single prompt. And then inferring topics. Well, with inferring topics, by passing is this story about NASA and the employer satisfaction of that. So you have is a prompt like this. So determine 5 topics that are being discussed in the following text, which is delimited by triple backticks. Interesting. Define 5 topics that are being discussed in the following text, which is delimited by triple backticks. Make each item 1 or 2 words long, and format your response as a list of items separated by commas, like infer 5 topics. And based on that response, you now get this array or this dictionary. No, this list for that. So now if you want to, this is for topic extraction. Okay, topic extraction. This is for the topic extraction. And now if you want to count the topics on that story, then you can indicate that, right? So determine whether each item in the following list of topic is a topic in the text below, which is limited with triple backticks. Give your answer on a list with series of 1 for each of topic. Provide the format as a JSON object. Okay, interesting. So provide the output, which is something that when they talk about giving things like that, or make your response as short as possible, and format your response exactly. Is format your response as a JSON object. So you have NASA, local government, and things like that. Of course, there is an error because at the end of the day, it was expecting is a list. It was expecting is this string, right? And now you can find is this alert, new NASA story. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, so with that, that'll be all for this video. Take care. Bye bye.